From my medieval collection, I have picked some of my favorite characters and I have given them upgrades. Every time I get a chance to make custom figures, I'm always impressed with the amount of things that can be done to create unique LEGO characters. For this video, I'm showing 15 different champions from official and made-up factions. I try to add different elements to make each character unique. Some of them have a mount or a companion to complement the character. Others are a little bit of a work in progress, but they are interesting nonetheless. So let's take a closer look at each one of them and let me know which one is your favorite in the comments down below. Starting with one of my favorites, this is the champion of the Red Foxes. He has an awesome companion that helps him on fights and on hunts to get food to survive. For him, I stuck to a brown, gray and red color scheme, and I added a white fur to make him match color-wise with the fox. This character is from a faraway land, and so far, this is the only one that I have made from this faction. I would love to make more of these characters since I ended up loving the results. Moving on, we have the Emperor's Guard from the Orient Expedition theme. I personally think that these guys are a little bit underrated, and they don't get enough love, so I wanted to upgrade one of them to show him off. I have given them a shoulder piece and a thin cape to make him look like an elite soldier. This here is a Black Falcon Heavy Knight. He might be somewhat slow, but his attacks are powerful. He uses a heavy hammer to make the most out of his brute force. I decided to stick to the black and blue theme since I'm using an OG Falcon torso, and I added some printed robes on the legs from the Star Wars theme. The black visor really ties the whole look together, and I'm glad I had a few of those on my collection. For my Dwarf champion, I have picked the most experienced fighter. He might be a little bit older than the rest, but that doesn't make a difference on the battlefield. I just absolutely love that helmet and shoulder piece combination. Continuing with the Crown Knights, this is another heavy knight. Luckily, I have the horse Pardin for this faction, which really helps to complete the look of the figure. I used the plumes from the old school Dragon Knights to add more details. I wanted this character to look wealthy and heavy, and the plumes really add thickness and it makes him look really fancy. To complement the look, I added an axe made with chrome pieces. Maybe the only thing that this figure is missing is some sort of printed legs, but I didn't find anything that looked right, so I had to stick to the original plain legs for the time being. If I'm honest with you, this is one of my favorite characters so far. He is pretty simple, but I think the torso and the legs look fantastic together. My fiancé suggested that I should watch Game of Thrones, and I'm absolutely loving it. I wanted to make a champion based on one of my favorite characters from the show. So of course I had to make Jon Snow. I have given him a hound as his companion, and I feel like these two look great together. Moving on to a faction that I have shown in the past, this is one of my paladins from the King's Knight. I have him paired with a Griffon, of course, since this faction is inspired on Warcraft characters. This knight has one of my favorite medieval torsos. It's really simple, but I love the colors. I also added some black falcon legs, and the blue hues match perfectly. From the CMF series, this is the Evil Knight with a few upgrades. I wanted to include him because this is one of the factions that people often forget about. I added a black visor, a black plume, and a red and black cape that I had from a Star Wars character. I wanted this guy to have a companion, and this little guy and the Griffon came on the same Harry Potter set, which ended up working perfectly for me. And well, if we are going to have a Dark Knight, I feel like it will be necessary to add a Light Knight as well. He has a White Winged Horse as his steer, which is a must-have for a fantasy light knight. I wanted the champion to look similar to the Evil Knight. I used Luke's white robes and the chrome armor pieces that I had. The visor is not matching perfectly, but I think it looks good enough. I didn't have any sort of chrome accessories that I could add to the helmet, but the white plume adds a touch of white to the visor and it complements the white theme. The orcs have become one of my favorite custom factions. I used the trolls from the Fantasy Castle era as a base for them. This is one of my favorite custom orcs. I used the helmet and cape from a CMF character, paired with an armor piece, and I created a Warcraft 3 accurate orc. This character is pretty unique. It took me quite a bit to get all the pieces for it, but I think it was worth it. Of course, I had to give him a wolf companion using one of the wargs from Lord of the Rings. Overall, this is one of my most complete figures so far, and definitely on my top 5 of custom figures. My next champion is from the Army of the Undead. I try to make the Lich King, previously known as Prince Arthas. I feel like I can still improve this figure, but for now this hair and head work really well for him. This right here is the Noble Knight, a champion that comes from the Lion King's land, but I have made it part of the King's Knight army by adding blue details to him. I'm using a fantastic torso piece from the 4-Quarter Lions. I also added a shiny helmet and the chrome axe, and I feel like this character really stands out from the others. Since this is a Noble Knight, I felt like a dog companion will work perfectly for him, and especially since they have a similar color scheme. The Green Dragon Knights are one of the most popular factions, and I understand why. These knights are just fantastic. I'm using the torso and the legs of a double-head Dragon Knight, and I added a shoulder piece and a couple of capes instead of the armor. This character has gone through a few upgrades and now it looks really different, but I wanted to show both knights either way. Not too long ago I didn't have any of these guys in my collection, but I went a little bit crazy on whatnot, and now I have a lot of pieces to customize these characters. The Dragon faction is popular because it has some of the best medieval figures in my opinion. I almost forgot that I had a green dragon, and well, no other creature will go better along with the Green Dragon champion. The next character we have is from the Night Elves faction. This is a female champion that I've made from my favorite Jedi figure, Ayla Secura. I didn't want to use the original piece for the head to give her a different appearance, and by adding a cape, a hood, and a shoulder piece from Shredder, I ended up with a pretty unique figure. For her mount, I have used another creature from the Harry Potter theme, and this works perfectly for a Night Elf mount. Lastly, we have the champion from the Red Dragon Knights. This is another faction that is little underrated. In my opinion, these are just as good as the Green Dragon Knights. The only difference is that the Green Dragons do have more variety on the torsos. And the chain torso is pretty goated, I'm not gonna lie. I'm hoping that I can get a set of the Red Dragon plumes so that I can give him an old school dragon helmet. But since I don't have them, I'm sticking to the bucket helmet for now. I have the Horse Barding for this faction as well, and does really help to make the character look in theme and completed. But after looking at this guy, we have gone through all the 15 champions that I made for this video. I had a lot of fun making all these custom figures, and I try to come up with new combinations every time I get a chance. If you enjoy these sort of videos, make sure to like and subscribe so that I can keep making this type of content. On that note, this is all I have for you today. I'm Beyond Lego, peace out.